I wasn't home the whole day, and I come home and I get this, a package. So now I'm gonna open it and show you what's inside, because obviously, because I don't do excessive online shopping, I know what's in here, and I'm so excited. Here you go, I'll show you. You can't see. These are so much smaller than I thought. We have Clockwork Angel, we have Clockwork Prince, and we also have, of course, Clockwork Princess. This is thicker, but honestly I thought these were tall books, so I'm really surprised that they're so small and they look like they look like they're fresh from the bookstore, but I actually got them secondhand. So I got these, right, because I have never felt the interest in reading the Mortal Instrument series by Cassandra Clare. I do have the first 2 books because I got them from the thrift store the other day for €1. I'm really excited to meet Will, and I'm also excited to see if I'm gonna understand this world without having read any other Cassandra Clare books. We'll see if I like it. Even if I like it, I'll talk shit about it, because that's my brand. So I hope to see you again when I'm not as gross. Where do I even start? Before I speak about it, I want everyone to know that this is just for fun. I will be ranting about the book, I will be talking about the characters and how I didn't like most of them and how I didn't like the plot, but that doesn't mean I'm trying to offend anyone. This is just for fun, to point out the flaws that some of the characters may have. So if you love the characters, I love that for you. I'm glad you find joy in this book, and I find joy in ranting about it, so I hope no one bites off my head. First, before I start talking about anything regarding this story, I hate the cover. This cover literally looks like whoever made this graphic design is their passion. I'm sorry, I think it's ugly. Also, not story related, but what I didn't like, and I think that's just on the time it was published, but every chapter has a little poem before it starts, and half of the time I didn't know what they were trying to tell me. I also stopped reading them when I reached a certain point because I was not interested at all in these poems. Does anyone actually read these and think, oh my god, how is this gonna relate to the chat? And no one does that, right? I've never heard anyone do that. I think on Goodreads it tells you what the stars mean, so giving it 2 stars would be like it was okay, and 3 stars was I liked it, which I thought was an exaggeration, but I went with it, you know. I was like, I liked it, fine. Like, I would have rated it 2 stars because I found it very predictable, and I will talk about that. And I also didn't like Will or Tessa. The only reason I gave it 3 stars was for Jem. We start in Victorian England. It's the 19th century, and it's kind of like a steampunk vibe, right? I've never really read steampunk, but that's the vibe I was getting. There were so many fucking descriptions of everything. I've never read another Cassandra Clare book, as I said earlier, but I don't know if she always does this, that she's so precise with her descriptions, but not about the things that I care about. This bitch goes out of her way to describe the dresses and everything, but she never, like, describes any weapons in detail, or how anything works, any mechanisms. She never describes any inventions that Henry makes, one of the characters. And it's just like, those are the interesting things. Why are you telling me in detail how Will is so beautiful, but not about the swords and shit? Like, that's the exciting part. I guess not. Tessa thought she's coming to visit London to meet with her brother, but she's not. She is kidnapped and held hostage by these 2 bitches, the Dark Sisters, and they apparently know that she has a special ability. Tessa didn't know about this ability. It's shapeshifting. Her shapeshifting is something that annoyed me a lot because I felt like it was such a convenient power, and she's being held hostage and she's forced to shapeshift to train that ability. She never knew that she had it, and she just kind of goes with it. She never asks these sisters any questions. She never thinks it weird that she can shapeshift. At least she doesn't express that to the reader. She was like, I didn't know I had this power, but now I have it, so whatever. I don't really know what she's thinking. I don't know why she's so accepting of her fate and of what is happening to her and how she's not asking any questions. Also, what really bothered me was the fact that when Will comes to save her out of the room, he says that there's a window. And also she says that there's a mirror in the room. Now, if I were kidnapped and forced to do things, I think I would, like, rebel against that. I would have tried to break open the window. I would have shattered the mirror and tried to stab these sisters and escape. She never makes any attempt to escape. She's just chilling. I don't know what she was hoping to happen. She just accepted everything that was happening to her, and then that was it. She was like, okay, I'm held hostage. I can't do anything. She did believe that they held her brother hostage too, and they would kill him if she rebelled against them, but I wouldn't care about that fucker. She's really naive, I feel like, and also she gave me major Mary Sue vibes. She's taken to the institute by Will, who saves her out of the house, and literally the first thing she thinks when she sees Will is, oh my god, he's so handsome. Listen, if I had been held hostage, I don't know how long she had been held hostage, 6 weeks I think, and someone came to save me, I don't think the first thing I'd think to myself would be, oh my god, he's really hot. So she comes to the institute, and of course she has to show off her power to all these people. And I was so annoyed by this. She needs an object of the person to turn into them. And then when she's turned into them once, she doesn't need the object anymore because she already, I don't know why, like she has a connection or whatever. And instead of, to impress them, she's like, I'm gonna turn into Jessamine, if that's how you pronounce it. And Jessamine is a little bit of a bitch, which I thought she had such good potential to be more than just a bitch and to develop her character, which I don't know if that's gonna happen in the next few books, but she was just really over the top, extra bitchy, because why not? Tessa tells them, I need an object of a person to turn into them, something that belongs to them. And so she tells Jessamine to give her something, like her ring or something, and this bitch Jessie goes something like, oh, your ability is more like pickpocketing or something. If she was pickpocketing, she wouldn't tell you she wanted her ring, she would just fucking take it. What sense does this line make? None. Tessa also never says thank you to any of these people for helping her and keeping her safe. Where is she gonna go, you know what I mean? She was held hostage, she escaped, she has no money, and she's not thankful at all. She doesn't like chocolate, that's also something I wrote down, and when that line fell, I was like, oh my god, she is the queen of quirkiness. Who doesn't like chocolate? Tessa fucking Gray. She is just so different from every other girl. She's so different. She likes reading. She doesn't like chocolate. She's so different. She keeps saying, oh, Charlotte, the head of the institute, she's running this. But her husband should be running it because she's a woman. She doesn't have rights. And women wearing pants, that is outrageous. So she keeps thinking that. It kind of goes away, like hitting page 200, 250. She stops completely thinking about it, even though she keeps... Why? She contradicted herself though. I just found Tessa really annoying, I'm sorry. A couple lines before this, she thinks something like, women can't fight. They're women. Men are doing the fighting. What is Charlotte doing? Why is she fighting? Also, Charlotte just in general, really sweet, really naive. And she totally gave me like a boomer vibes. This woman is supposed to be 23 years old. I don't believe it. I think she's 40. So as I said, Tessa was like, oh, women can't fight. I'm sexist because I'm a woman and I'm in Victorian England. Now I'm gonna read this out to you. Did something happen between you? Tessa, Will said with exaggerated patience. Enough. There are things you can't hope to understand. If there was one thing Tessa hated, it was being told that there were things she couldn't understand. Because she was young, because she was a girl. For any of 1,000 reasons that never seemed to make any real sense. Oh, you're mad that Will is telling you you wouldn't understand something, which has nothing to do with you being a girl, probably just her just, you know, being not a part of their world and not knowing anything about it. She instead is like, I'm a girl and so you think I don't understand, but I'm more than a girl. Like, I'm smart. I'm not what you think I am. But still, she's being sexist as fuck the whole time. We don't stand Tessa in this household. Listen, literally, I was so mad. Already, like, my hatred for Tessa was swelling up because she was just really annoying. At this point, she goes shopping and Jessamine is supposed to be really stunning and extremely pretty. So no one notices Tessa hanging, like, being around, and it's not until Jessamine says, oh, can you also get something for my cousin from America, that they're like, oh my god, she's there too. Like, she's so painfully plain and so, she's not like other girls. She's not pretty, like, she's just average looking. I was also so confused because Jessamine kept going on about wanting to leave the institute and not be a shadow hunter because her parents died because of it. Whatever, I don't really know. I don't get what her issue is. When she's 18, she can just leave. She has money, is what she says. Her parents left her money. All she has to do is find a husband. And I don't imagine that finding a husband is that difficult. You never have to tell him about the Shadowhunter world if you don't want to, and you just leave when you're 18. I don't really know what she was on about. She could just go to the park and find herself a husband. Just go somewhere and find yourself a husband. I don't think it's that hard in that age, you know, to find a fucking husband when you're really pretty, apparently. Also, she could just leave by herself. Just leave by yourself. Who's gonna fucking care that you're alone? Just pretend like you're a widow. My god. At this point, we get the plot. Apparently, Tessa was supposed to be married off to the head of this secret underworld club, and he's called the Magister or something. Like, he's a big boss. Charlotte, the boomer girl, and her husband, they go to this human dude, and he tells them, oh yeah, I'm part of the club. The head of the club is this big old vampire. And everyone just believes it. At this point, they're still looking for Tessa's brother, and apparently he was also involved in the club. And listen, when this human-ass guy, his name is Mortmain, I will not remember this throughout the video. I will call him Mortimer. What will I call him? I thought that was his name until I started taking notes, and I was like, wait, how do you write his name? And I checked, and it was Mortmain, and I was like, that's not what I read. Mortimer tells them, yeah, I'm part of the club, but the head of the club is this big vampire that you know that's like, I don't know what, they're like allies or whatever. Everyone just believes him. Everyone's like, yeah, the big old vampire that's our ally, he is the head of the club. Why would this human lie to us? And the moment he said that, I was like, it's not him, right? Especially because there was this plot with these automats, like cyborgs. I don't know how you say it in English, so I'm just gonna say cyborg. Mortimer was the one to produce these mechanical little pods for these cyborgs, and everyone's just like, he's out of the picture, he's just selling them, he's so stupid. Shouldn't you investigate? I don't know, maybe you should. Everyone apparently is stupid. Even there's older shadow hunters, not just the 23-year-old Charlotte and the little Will and Jem and Tessa, who's not a shadow hunter, but you get the point. There's people who are really old, and everyone is just like, you know what, we're not gonna investigate, we hate vampires, we're just gonna do it. A human could never lie to us. Everyone's just dumb. Everyone's just like, yeah, we're gonna go with it. They then make this plan to have Tessa disguise herself as a vampire because she can shapeshift, and she's gonna go to this party that the vampire boss is having to watch him kill a human or harm a human so they can attack him, because that's breaking the law that's in the Shadowhunter world. And Tessa is just like, you know what? I have no experience in fighting. I have no experience in politics. I don't know anything about the Shadow world, but I guess I'll do it. Hands down, y'all, I do not understand why they didn't just have the vampire go herself. Why did they not just let the vampire go herself? Why did they need Tessa to shapeshift into her? Just take the vampire and take Will with you, and then Tessa would be out of the picture completely. She's at this so she goes to the vampire party with Will. I don't know how he disguised his tattoos, his Shadowhunter tattoos. Maybe with a rune? I don't know. With a glamour? I don't know if they work on vampires, it was not explained. Tessa let her breath out. She hadn't realized she'd been holding it. I hate Tessa. The fact that no one at this party suspects anything, that she's not the real vampire, that she is just an imposter, when they know that the shapeshifter is not, like, the shapeshifter is gone, she's nowhere to be found, and no one is sus. These vampires are hundreds of years old, they know each other for hundreds, and I don't think she was acting that amazingly, you know. Sometimes it's very convenient that the vampire she turned into spoke through her, however the fuck that worked, but I just, no one suspects anything. It would have been way more exciting if this plan failed, but everything just goes right for them. She also meets Magnus Bane at this party, which I know Magnus Bane, even though I haven't read anything by Cassandra Clare, I know him. He also makes an appearance at this party. Apparently he's fucking Camille, which is the vampire. And I also think I know Camille. Doesn't she appear later? I don't know though. He just disappears for the rest of the book until the very end, when the book is over, when the plot is over. So I don't really know what the point of that was. Literally just the point was so that Will could go to him at the very end and ask him for a favor or whatever. But I don't know why he didn't help them out. So she goes to the ceremony where they're supposed to sacrifice a human, which would be against the law. And lo and behold, who's the human? Her brother. Who at this point in the book thought that it was going to be anyone but her brother? Honestly. The plan is that as soon as the human is hurt, that's sitting there, they didn't know it was going to be Nathaniel. They suspected he was going to be at the party, but they didn't know he could be the human that was sacrificed, which was bad consideration on their part. As soon as the human gets hurt, all of the other shadow hunters are going to come in and kill the vampires because it's against the law. Will is going to set off an alarm, and by the time that he sets off the alarm for them to come in, Tessa is supposed to already be out with Magnus. So when this plan was introduced, I was like, so she's not going to be out with Magnus. She's going to be there because she's stupid. She turns around to see who the human is because his scream sounded familiar. She sees it's her brother, and she starts screaming at Will. The only logical reason why they made Tessa go was because she knew what her brother looked like. But I don't think it would have been that hard to, like, find a human that looks similar to Tessa. Whatever. That's just me. She screams. She alarms all the vampires. And Will is like, what the fuck? And so he sets off the alarm. It goes wrong. Everything's on fire. Instead of forcing her to leave the place like Magnus promised, he just vanishes. I don't know where he went. Never appears again until the end. And Tessa runs into this vampire, like, inferno, and goes to her brother, who's chained to the chair. I really wanted her to die. I really wished she would have died in that moment, because she deserved it for her stupidity. If I had been Will, I would have punched her in her face for the stupidity. Like, bitch, just behave. Do you really think they're gonna let the human die? Also, what I thought was weird was how long this bitch shapeshifted for. I don't know how long the party was, not that long, but still, I don't think she ever shifted into someone else for such an extended amount of time, and she doesn't struggle at all. Mary Sue doesn't struggle at all to shapeshift, to stay in that form. She just can. And I think that was so annoying because she didn't even sweat a little. She didn't struggle a little to keep onto it, to hold onto it. It just worked for her. It just worked out. It was all fine. It was all good. She doesn't struggle. She's just so powerful. So her brother gets taken to the institute with her, and they try to heal him, and the silent brother comes, who I don't know how to pronounce his actual name, like Brother E something. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just gonna call him the silent brother. He is so nice to Tessa. He saved her, healed her, and her brother. And I remember that she thought in one of the scenes, like, he makes 2 appearances, I don't know in which one it was. She thinks, like, what's the point of living forever if you look like that? Because he's ugly. Listen, Tessa, if everything you care about is beauty, I hope you just turn really fucking ugly. I don't get why she's being so judgmental over him when he's being nothing but nice and helping her and saving her. Listen, brother, the silent brother does not deserve this kind of treatment. And I am team Brother Ian, whatever the fuck his name is. She makes out with Will, and they have nothing in common. I didn't feel it, like, I knew it was gonna happen, but I was like, you've known each other for 3 days, I think, or 4, a week at max. And at this point, I was also like, Will is kind of weird, but he was mysteriously weird. He wasn't rude weird, he was just like badass, cocky weird. But this is where it turned for me. Fuck Will, literally. He makes out with Tessa, and then he just pushes her away and says, and like hurts her feelings. It's her first kiss. Obviously they have feelings for each other. He doesn't apologize to her. She hears him talk shit about her and her brother through the door because she wanted to go to talk to them, and then she hears him like yell and be super fucking rude. Let me look it up so I can tell you what he says. Also, he tells Charlotte this, and I literally, when he said this, I was like, Will, you are the biggest asshole. He goes, nothing Henry invents ever works. If you just admit your husband's a useless fool, we'd all be a lot better off. I don't know what happened in his past, and I will get to that, but literally nothing excuses the fact that he is insulting this man that has been nothing but kind to him. Like, there's no point. Why is he doing that? When he said that, I was like, okay, fuck you. If he doesn't apologize to all of them in one of the next books, I cannot stand him. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I be, oh my god, he's so hot, he's so damaged, like, he needs to be healed. No. What the fuck, who gives him the right? What gives him the right to talk like this to people who have been by his side since he came there and have nothing but supported him? I don't agree with his behavior. Talking about the silent brother going through his mind, Nathaniel's mind, to find out what's going on with everything, because apparently he can do that. And Will says, I doubt it was that much of a mind to begin with. Tessa heard Will's tone of disgust even through the door and felt her stomach tighten with rage. Why is he insulting Nathaniel? He knows nothing of Nathaniel. Nathaniel has at this point done nothing to them yet, and he is saying he's a dumb fuck and he's disgusted by him. Why? So I really just wanted Tessa to kick him in the balls at this point, because I feel like this is not the behavior that should be tolerated. There's no repercussion for him. Charlotte just lets it slide, and I feel like also Jem is just there to be the person to excuse Will's behavior. Oh, he'll tell me what happened to him when he wants to. I'm not pushing him, but you don't have to be pushed around the way you are. It's quite problematic. Jem and Tessa go for a walk and they talk a little bit. I love Jem. And they get attacked, and Jem breaks down because he's sick, and I'll talk about it in a second. But also, so they come back to the Institute, and there was this one line, I was just like, Tessa, shut the fuck up. Henry is talking to her, and he's trying to tell her that he thinks it's better if she just stays in the Institute for a while and doesn't go outside, because it's too dangerous. She could be attacked and, you know, hurt. And so he goes, not that we want to keep you a prisoner here, but it would be safer if you remained inside. And Tessa goes, but for how long? Ma'am, I'm sorry, but first of all, you never said thank you for the hospitality they have shown you. And second of all, where the fuck would you go? It's not like you have anything better to do. But for how long, sis? What the fuck is your problem? Jem, because he was attacked and he broke down, he feels the need to tell her, Tessa, what happened in his past, and it's so tragic. And I was like, my sweet baby. There was a demon that attacked his institute in Shanghai because he's part Chinese, because we need some diversity, but apparently not any black people. Literally, this is a modified version of Victorian era London, and still you're not like including any people of color. Why didn't you make that exception? You know what I mean? You're making so many changes to London and the era. Why didn't you just include black people? What's the issue, bitch? A demon attacked the institute that his parents were running. And he was 11 at the time, and he was tortured by the demon and injected with poison. And his parents had to watch. And then during, I don't know how long it took, like multiple days, he was tortured. And then his parents were killed. But he was left alive. I don't really know why. So the poison is the reason that he is so weak, because he has to still take it. Because his body is addicted to it, and there's no cure for it. Which I don't believe that. I bet there's a cure, but, you know, foreshadowing and shit, I don't know. You cannot tell me whatever happened to Will. I bet it's tragic. It has to be. But you cannot tell me that it's worse than what happened to Jem. That man literally has to take a poison every day. He's literally sick. He's dying. And Will is behaving the way he is, and Jem isn't. Jem is the biggest gentleman. He is so kind. I have no words for this. Jem reigns superior. I love him so much, and even if I turn into a Will stan miraculously in Clockwork Prince or Princess, which my camera is standing up on now, and I'm looking at it and I'm like... Also, there's a maid called Sophie, which she's my favorite character also, because her name is Sophie, and that's also my name. Her and Tessa had a conversation before this, where they were talking about that Sophie has a crush on someone. And they go through every possible guy, because there's only 3 guys at this institute. It could only be Thomas, who I love the Thomas guy. He dies. I was so sad when he died. I'm still salty about that. Thomas, Will, who she despises, or Jem. And they only talk about Will and about Thomas. And for both guys, she's like, no, I don't like them. And then, at this point, Tessa comes out of Jem's room after being told this story. And Sophie's like, oh my god, is he alright? Oh my god, I'm so scared. And then Tessa's like, oh, so she's in love with Jem. Who else is there that she could have a crush on? This woman has the mind of a like, I don't know, of a toddler. Nathaniel wakes up, right? And he escapes from his room. And Tessa, or Thomas, I don't know who finds him, he's in the library. And the window is ajar. And he's sitting in there, like, not suspicious at all. At this point, I was like, okay, so Nathaniel has something to do with probably Mortimer, whatever. I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just reading, you know, I'd been reading all day. I was like, I just want to get it over with. But the fact that he comes in the room and the window is open, and it's specifically mentioned that the window is open, and Tessa is confused by this. I was like, okay, so he must have sent like some kind of message out, which apparently he did. So I'm mega mind. I'll also have the chin like mega mind, so it fits. So Nathaniel tells them some story about a full moon and the vampires wanting to attack, because I didn't even mention this. The head of the vampire, the big boss, who they're thinking is the boss of this club that wants Tessa, he escaped. They let this bitch I didn't understand this. Wouldn't he be the first person that you try to kill in this ceremony room? No, apparently not. He escaped. So Nate tells them he wants to attack on full moon. And guess when the full moon is? It's that day. They have to go immediately. Jem and Will don't join the Shadowhunters, and the excuse for it is so weak. They literally fought against the vampires, and now they're like, yeah, but they can't go because they're too young. And also, the head vampire survived, the boss vampire survived because of them. I was like, I don't think that is what happened. But okay, we're just gonna go with it. Mortimer comes and tells them, oh my god, the Dark Sisters, they're still alive. And then Will and Jem are like, of course we have to investigate, we have to kill them, because I didn't really talk about the plot with the cyborgs, but it's not that important, it's not that exciting. So Jem and Will leave the Institute behind. There's no Shadowhunter left in the Institute, besides Jasmine, who doesn't want to be a Shadowhunter and can't fight. And I was like, what could possibly go wrong now? It was so painstakingly obvious to me, you know what I mean? Because everything was just so convenient. First, I thought they were gonna attack the Institute because the others were gone. And then Mortimer comes and it's like, oh, but did you know the Dark Sisters? I was like, okay, so he's the bad guy and he's trying to get them away from the Institute, Will and Jem. And he succeeds. So then, with no Shadowhunter left at the Institute, obviously it's under attack by Mortimer and Nate. Who would have thought? Me. So Mortimer, this human guy, is apparently the boss, not the vampire. It was just a show to get everyone away from the Institute so they can take Tessa. This bitch wears this clockwork angel, this thing that's on the cover, she wears it around her neck. And the book is titled after this angel, and it doesn't do anything up until this point. It saves her. And the thing, listen, this made me so mad. Tessa doesn't question anything. Tessa just accepts. No one in this book questions anything, really. This angel, all of a sudden, never has done anything, right? Is around her neck, and all of a sudden, she's like held by cyborgs really tightly, and she can't breathe, and she's gonna die, and whatever. And this necklace that she has comes to life to save her, and cuts through their arms, blah, 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 and just flies away. This was the stupidest thing I have ever read in my life. And no one is like, what the fuck just happened? And not even Tessa is like, what the fuck just happened? She's just like... So she runs off to the sanctuary because she thinks she's gonna be saved there. And listen, this whole sequence, this end sequence with the attack on the Institute was so... I don't know the word. Like, it just took forever. It took forever. The best thing about this whole thing, it took forever, right? But the best thing was that Jem saved the cat from the Dark Sisters. This is the reason I love this man. He is the best boy in this book. I love him so much. Basically, I'm gonna sum this up because this was the most tedious, long-lasting fucking plot ever. Thomas dies, which that I found sad because I love Thomas. Also, fuck Will. Will literally says that Thomas was his best friend, and then Jem came along, and Thomas was just like, he didn't pay attention to Thomas anymore. If I had been Thomas, I would have punched him in the face. You mean to tell me that he just ditched his friend? Why couldn't they just be friends, the three of them? What is the issue? They run to the sanctuary. Sophie forgets the key to get inside, so she goes off to get the key. Tessa is alone. Nate comes along, and they talk back and forth, and then Jasmine is there and knocks him in the head, and they get into the sanctuary and hide there. And then there's Will at the door, but it's not Will, it's Mortimer pretending to be Will, doing his voice or whatever. And so Jasmine is like, okay, I'm gonna open the door. And then they fight inside the sanctuary, and Jasmine and Sophie leave. Mortimer and Tessa talk to one another, and she's like, if you come any closer, I'm gonna stab myself with this knife. He comes closer, she pretends to stab herself, but actually, the moment she stabs herself, or is supposed to stab herself, she changes into another woman she has changed into before, and blood spills on her dress because that woman died with a gunshot. So then there's blood all over her dress, and this Mortimer, this supposed head of this club, super clever, tricked all the Shadowhunters, is tricked by this little, like, by this thing that Tessa does. He's like, oh my god, she's dead, fuck. Will comes and he vanishes, and Will is like, oh my god, I'm glad you survived. And yeah, that's basically it. It felt like it took forever. I don't know how many pages, like 100 pages. People just being caught by cyborgs, getting free, running away, getting attacked again, getting free, talking, fighting, getting free. Just end it. Just end the book. We don't really get to know anything about Tessa, actually. Mortimer just tells her that her mom didn't know who she really was. And so Tessa also doesn't know who she really is, but we know virtually nothing at this point. Tessa visits Will in the attic, and they make out, and then he's like, yeah, so, where are we gonna meet to fuck? And she's like, what the fuck? I don't know what made him say that. I don't know what would give you the vibe that Tessa just wanted to fuck. She obviously cares for him. And him saying that, I was just like, this is not hot. This is not admirable. I don't think he's hot. I think he's hot, but I don't think he's like, husband material. Jem though, Jem is husband material. He talks to her normally. He is there for Tessa. I love him. I'll take him. I'll take him for myself. Fuck it. She can have Will, I'll have Jem. So then, Tessa, to everyone's surprise, is allowed to stay in the Institute. This is by the end of the book. She's allowed to stay in the Institute. And I was just like, where else would she go? Like, literally, where else would she move? Tessa finds out through Will that warlocks cannot have children. And I read that, and I was like, so Tessa can have children. I don't know if she has them. I bet she does. The fact that Tessa is this Mary Sue with an ability never before seen, no one knows what she is, it was so... I hate reading this trope of the girl having a power never before seen. Basically, what you're trying to tell me is that Tessa is a warlock with no warlock mark, so no one really knows who she is, and she just believes that she can't have children. In the codex, it literally says no exceptions have been noted so far. So she's the exception, right? Like, can you make it any more fucking obvious? If she can't have children, and I never said anything, but I honestly don't know if she can or not. I guess it will be revealed at the end of everything, but I bet this bitch can't have children. I was just so annoyed with Tessa. She is such an unlikable main character in my opinion. She really just is that Mary Sue, and I think that's just to blame on the time this book was written, but I don't understand why no one ever bothered to train her or to educate her, because she only reads the codex, but she never really asks that many questions, and I feel like it would be more helpful for her to ask questions instead of just reading. I also don't understand why they didn't use her power to their advantage, like train her and then use her power. I bet she would have said yes, because she likes these people, you know, she wants to help them. I was thinking about this end fight, you know, and I don't understand why she didn't just turn into Mortimer. She could have just taken one of the fucking parts of one of the machines that was already dead, of one of the cyborgs, because originally it had belonged to him, right, because he produced it, and then turned into him, and then commanded the cyborgs herself. Why didn't she do that? And then I remembered, because I thought it would have been more plausible for her to turn into each of the shadow hunters once, just for safety measures, if she had to be like saved, you know, if she wanted to save herself. She never did that, but she did turn into Jasmine in the beginning of the book. Why did they not have her turn into Jasmine in this end scene? I bet if she had time to go to the sanctuary, or if Sophie had time to get the key to the sanctuary, I bet she could have also found the time to get a dress, and then she could have just turned into Jasmine, and Mortimer wouldn't have known who to take. That's just a thought, though. That's just a thought. It's just not convenient, you know. Shapeshifting is such a convenient ability, especially since Tessa is so good at it, but it's never utilized in a sensible way. The Clockwork Angel pissed me off so fucking much, because listen to this shit. He's talking to Jem, and something's like knocking on the window, and so Jem opens it, and the fucking angel flies into her hand, and the line is literally just like Jem goes, "What is it?" And Tessa just goes, "My angel." What the fuck? It's like, bitch doesn't even question. She doesn't even question. She's like, "It's my angel. Hee, I'm glad it's back." Why are you not confused as though to where it went and how it did that and why it did that? She never questions anything. Also, the time period kind of pissed me off, honestly. I was excited to read it because I have not read in this era, I think, like, anything. Never. I don't think so. I don't know. But the only thing that reminded me that it was Victorian era London was the fact that people wore dresses. The women. Because men can't wear dresses, or women can't wear pants, obviously. That would be scandalous. And through Tessa reminding me what it's like to be a lady and how to behave like a lady. But it was just annoying. To sum it up, I thought this book was fine. I hate Tessa. I don't like Will. I love Jem. I will continue reading for Jem because I love this man. Jem is the best character in this book. He's so sweet. Will is annoying. Tessa is the worst. Even though I suspected most of the plot, it didn't come to a surprise when Mortimer was like, I'm the boss, not the vampire. I tricked you. I was like, well, I thought so, you know. What's the big deal? I did like the book still. I have all 3 books here, so I will read them. And I will love them. Not probably, but I love Jem, so maybe. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more rant reviews, go check out my channel. And I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!